Hi everybody and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans and I'm your weight loss coach, health strategist and internationally published author, helping take your life and your business, your health, fitness, body and mindset from where you are right now to where it is that you want to be. And you're joining me again in the mobile studio. I've been in the car pretty much the entire day today trying to take care of everything that I can while I'm on the road. The beauty of the technology right now, the phone's in the cradle, I'm recording, multitasking at the same time. So I'm grateful for you for listening to me today. And I wanted to ask you the question about your communication strategy. And when was the last time you reviewed your communication strategy within your business? Because I have the great privilege of working with some high profile, some very successful local people in my area, people that you never would have heard of before, but they are very successful in their own right in the businesses that they operate, anywhere from real estate through to like IT gurus to engineers that design these parts for that you wouldn't even be able to describe what the part is, but for very big production line companies and so forth, through to just successful local business owners that might own a dog grooming service or a garden care business or landscaping or irrigation or whatever. And in all the different conversations that I have, and because of my traditional background as being a chartered accountant and working in big business, I'm just interested in how people conduct themselves. Interested in mindset, interested in success. And today I've been talking with one of my clients about communication, and one conversation and statement led from one thing to the next to the next. We could have spoken for a couple of hours just around communication. And if you think about, I may be a lot older than some of you listening to this right now, but there was a time when mobile phones didn't exist, right? I'm sure in your imagination you can see that. If you didn't live through that area, you can certainly imagine it. There was a time when they didn't exist. And the only way that we used to communicate with people, this was before I ran a business, so part of it was when I just started running a business and just had a CDMA phone. And we used to communicate via snail mail. You know, you'd used to type a letter, you used to print it out, you used to stick a stamp on it in the envelope and off it would go. And that was a big way of doing it. And then came along websites, the internet. We created websites and we started emailing people and we started posting a lot of content on our websites and writing blogs and doing that kind of thing, email campaigns, etc. And some of the posts started to go out the window. Now, I don't know what postage is like in your part of the world, but over the past, I don't know what the time frame is, but I'm going to say 5 years, maybe we went from something that was 45 cents to now it's $1. I think it might even be $1.10 now. Because of COVID and everything, they've put the price of it up, which in some ways doesn't make sense, because if someone is, one of the companies that's been out there really absolutely profiting from the boom of COVID has been our Australia Post Service. And I think about how when I first started my business, yes, I got a website from day one, and I think it was up and running by about day 3. And I used to drive people through a CRM, customer relationship management system. I used to create email sequences, and I used to drive people to my website and landing pages and that kind of stuff. And that was really cool. And I'd be driving people to blogs and that kind of stuff. And then at the same time, I was doing a hard copy newsletter, and I was posting that out to people. Now, that was at a time when I didn't have thousands of people in my database, and the postage was a lot cheaper. Printing costs were probably maybe not much different to where they are now. But now I don't do that. Why? Because, well, the postage cost alone would cost me thousands of dollars just to do it, never mind the printing cost. And it's just not one of those, it keeps me in touch with people. It's not something that is a big money earning. You say, well, why do you do it? Well, it's a bit like real estate agents that drop in those little postcards in letterboxes. That's not where they get most of their business, but because there's so much competition in the area, it's about being front of mind. Just being front of mind for when you are ready to say, oh yeah, well, here's a particular real estate agent, I'll go and see them. And I've changed the things that I've done over time, and now rather than writing blogs, I'll use social media. Now, I'm not the greatest at using social media. I've got 4 different pages that I post stuff. I use Instagram, I use LinkedIn, I use Twitter as well. I don't spend a lot of time each day posting. And, maybe that shows up sometimes. Maybe I would be even more busier than I am because, if I was more active in those spaces. It's a challenge for me because it's not an area that I enjoy. But what I've noticed is the way that we tend to communicate with our clients now has shifted. And like I just said, we've gone from snail mail to email to now it could be Messenger, where we're sending people things on Messenger. It could be text messages. At last resort is normally a phone call, isn't it? But all these different things have evolved over time. So when I first started my business, sending somebody a text message, I don't know, in my part of the world was probably seen as a bit of a no-no, or you don't just text people. And if you think about how much text messages cost, I think it was about 25 cents a text message when we first started texting, and there was a limit to the number of characters that you could put. It was a bit like Twitter. And so it was very limited, and not everybody had phones back then either. You didn't know everybody's mobile number. But over time, haven't things really dramatically changed? Social media is the main point where we sort of connect everybody. Text messages are way more acceptable now. And I was talking to my client this morning about, say, the Google Assistant and the further developments in that, and looking forward to the stage where you can basically click the Google Assistant and get the Google Assistant to make phone calls to every booking you've got in your calendar today to confirm each booking, and any adjustments that need to be made, they're made. And he said to me, oh yeah, but a lot of people won't answer the phone. They prefer a text message. And it got me thinking back to when we first started sending text messages and people not liking them. And there are a certain cohort of people that would rather get a text message. If you get a phone call from somebody where you don't recognize the number, I get spammed a lot from people. I unless they're going to leave a message. If it's an international one, I generally leave it because they're spam. If it's a number I don't recognize, I will generally take it, unless I'm obviously working with a client or busy, and I'll let it go to voicemail. But the way that we are communicating is just constantly changing. And he said to me, I wouldn't take a phone call from, somebody that I didn't know. I said, well, in the example that I used, I said, well, it would be my number, so people would recognize it, so they're perhaps more likely to answer the phone. But I get the fact that, not everybody wants to speak to everybody. They'll see that it's a particular number. Oh yeah, don't want to speak to that person. Bang, I'll just leave it. Well, then you could say, well, okay, well, they could call back or text back, but then the Google Assistant could still handle that. So you could do it in a way that the Google Assistant can handle it. And I think that would be a step up in customer service, because what I'm noticing in the way that we communicate with people is that the level of customer service is certainly dropping. It's deteriorating. We have less interactive, less connection, less relationship building with our clients. It's more transactional. But really, if you think about it, certainly when clients are dealing with me, the amount of money that they're investing with me, it's a lot of money. So you want to give them the best quality service. And today, just with a couple of conversations, it got me thinking about the extra things that I should be doing now. Yeah, look, the Google Assistant or some equivalent of something like that will come eventually. I saw this on YouTube probably over 12 months to 2 years ago and thought, wow, that'd be fantastic, and thought it would have been at that stage by now, but obviously it's not. It may or may not come in that form. You just, and who knows? It's going to just take a while. So what do we do in the meantime? Well, I think what we need to step away from is kind of step back and say, well, how would you like to be treated? How would you like, I don't know, a business that you deal with and that you value highly, how would you like them to deal with you? What conversations would you like to be having with them? How meaningful would that be to you? What's the emotive part of it? Because I think for sure in this day and age, a phone call that you get from somebody that you value getting service from is really, really powerful. I think it's really powerful, and we don't do enough of it. We expect to do things via a text, and I see that with my daughter, my eldest one. It's always WhatsApp, or they're connecting with people via a game like Roblox or something, doing that, and they're connecting that way, having conversations with each other. It's either texting on there or speaking, sending little Snapchat, speaking videos and that kind of stuff in a group, and that's how they do it. I just think that we can do things better because we're losing that connectivity, and you can have a bigger impact on the people that you want to impact by thinking, how can you deliver a much higher level of service? How can you provide that wow service for people? Which is why I like the idea of the Google Assistant, like getting the Google Assistant to call everybody and have a proper voice talking to each of your bookings for the day or 2 days time, just to confirm everything, or if there are things that need to be changed, your own appointments and that kind of stuff. Just being able to use the technology to be able to communicate and get things done so that you can focus more on other things. I think that that's really powerful. You see the technology being used on help desks and stuff, and I've seen that work well in some instances. I've seen it work not well in other instances. So I think it depends on your industry. I think people are kind of getting sick and tired of having automated processes in place. They want to speak to a person. I think when the technology works really well, so like this Google Assistant example, when that works really well, you really don't know whether you're talking to an actual person or whether you're talking to an automated voice. You just don't know. You couldn't tell that it's a human voice. And because of the programming and the ability to think, it's able to handle anything that's said back to it. So, today's conversations with this particular client has prompted me for this podcast, because I think we can all improve with our communication, and maybe it's time to just take stock, step back, and say, let's look at all the different ways that I communicate with the people around me. Maybe it's your staff, maybe it's your intimate relationships with your children and things like that, but also with your clients. How are you communicating with them, and can we do better? Because I'm sure you can. So if you want to stay connected with me, you certainly can. You can go to the mentaltoughnessandbodyshow.com. Opt in for a free consultation. Let's start a conversation. Let's make 2021 your best year yet, for business, for your relationships, for your health, fitness, and body. Not to forget your mindset, because we're all about being mentally tough. Stay strong, stay safe. I'll see you tomorrow.